officers, but then maybe cleansed that money into institutions like schools, like banks, like other maybe real property investments. And they are also powerful. But of course, there are also the ordinary cartels and criminals also who don't have much money, but they are part of the whole system. And I have come across very many, and some are very sad cases, because people have, the cartels have reached a point where they don't respect the title deeds, and sadly, many times, or quite largely, the officers of the ministry have been, in numerous cases, part and parcel of procuring those kind of titles. When you look at the Land Act, to be able to deal a big blow to the cartels when they secure fraudulent titles, and you, Honorable Speaker, I mean that you are the owner, say, of this particular building. Cartels come and they perform some miracle and procure another title, where your title is safely somewhere, maybe under the locus of this particular building or parliament. And that title is the normal paper that we use for titling in this country. But other times it could be that paper, but the signatures are superimposed, or signatures of former commissioners of lands, maybe former registrars, both dead and alive. Not that they are the ones who signed, but some of our retired officers have also been part of that cartel. They've been signing. Some in their death, they are said to have signed. And therefore, what am I doing? I think we need to work on some amendments very quickly on the Land Act, so that the minute the registry, the technical information on the land records are known to be interfered with, to have been fraudulently secured or changed, so then the registrar, say the chief land registrar, should be able to immediately effect a cancellation and leave by law, because the minister is the custodian of all land titles, and therefore be able to say this record should look like this, and so that the person flagging another title out there should be left to be the one to have the honors of going to court to prove that the ministry has changed records or altered records, and that these are the true records. What has happened is that the ministry, previously the courts have taken the position that a title is sacred, a title can only be cancelled by the court. And you know, for the court to arrive at a position where it is able to say that these are the records, truly the evidence must be produced before the court by the chief land registrar or through his officers, so that then the court can be able to rely, will always rely in a good judgment, well-reasoned judgment. The court should be able to summon, or the owners of the case to be able to call for witnesses and the right records to inform the court, to help the court arrive at the right decision, is evidence from the ministry. So therefore, there is no reason why we should, as a ministry, not be able to rectify the records. When you look at the current section 79, yes, it's not clear that you can be able to alter that title. Anyway, Mr. Speaker, I have been asked what I have been doing. I have been utilizing that section. Severally, I have impugned some of the documents because they are obvious frauds, and therefore I'm not willing to take the dirty work of my ministry to the courts. Let the person alluding or alleging that they have a good title go take me to court, and that should happen to the same for everybody. What has the fraudsters have actually taken that section and utilized it in their favor, and you know they have the money to influence, to pay lawyers, good lawyers, and eventually you may be the owner of the title and find yourself losing. It has happened. We have several cases in the High Court, others in the Court of Appeal, where people, genuine owners of land, are struggling with judgments that don't make sense at all. And I do not want to go beyond that, but they don't make sense and they cannot. So therefore, we need to change the law to some extent to be able to give clarity to what the registrar should be able to do in the event that there is a clear fraud. I have taken the position that I will tackle the fraudsters. I have found myself in one of the notorious cases. I was actually locked up in a suit premises, not a suit premises, in a property that is clearly the records. I found the records had actually been already rectified. The records were okay, but there is somebody also claiming they have a good title. And I was locked by goons within. I think the police were part of the system, so that even when we entered there with them, as a minister, Honorable Speaker, and if there is one time I feared, is that one time, because it was down the valley. Even if it meant me running up, I would have had a challenge to run the hill up. And these are young goons who have been put to guard this property. Maybe you should ask, why did I think I should go there? I'm taking this fight to the crime scenes, Honorable Speaker. And I'm willing to do that because once I have established that this is a title, either for schools, for institutions, because these people have stolen land right, left, center. A lot of government land has been taken away, including prisons land. Institutions have lost land to them, to either people working within or people working within those institutions and other people. So I am taking the war to the crime scenes. And I believe that I need a lot of support from the police for purposes of enforcement. And but with the law, the answer is really dealing a big blow by use of the law, so that it is clear what we should do when we are faced with those kind of things. Yeah.
Junet.
Thank you, Chairman and Speaker. So, Mr. Chairman, my question to the nominee is, first, Madam Nominee, can you tell the committee in the period that you are there as a Minister for Lands, you have been, as you have just put it now, you have been following up grabbed lands and land that have been grabbed. Can you mention which public land can you say you have recovered from grabbers as of now? And secondly, whether it was necessary for you to go to that scene, what necessitated you going to that place? Because how many land can you visit as a minister to go and that is a security issue, that is the enforcement issue. But more importantly, there was a bill that was authored from the ministry, the Lands Amendment Act, that was withdrawn by the majority leader. And you wanted to take the powers of the National Land Commission completely. What necessitated that? What was the reason behind why you wanted to usurp the powers of the Independent Commission? And lastly, the issue of disappearance of files in the Ministry of Land still exists. Kenyans go to the Ministry of Land, RD House, they can't find their files. And we have been told that land was being digitized since when the former cabinet secretary was there, Farida. Up to that time, up to now, from that time up to now, digitization is still going on. But files cannot be traced. When will this issue of disappearance of Kenyans' files end, Madam CS? Thank you very much. Nominees, thank you very much.
The Honorable Ichongwa had asked the same question on what is our mandate vis-a-vis the mandate of the National Land Commission, and are we respecting the mandates of the, is there any issue? As far as I'm concerned, Honorable Speaker, there is no problem or challenge. We've not had any conflict or fight between my office and the office of the National Land Commission. In fact, I would say that I am having quite a cordial working relationship with the chairman and his commission. But that does not mean then we abscond or we abandon our duty, and therefore each has their mandate. Our main mandate in relation to titling is we are the ones, the minister is the one who does the leases. In fact, all leases in this country are signed by the minister. I would say not my signature, but for the minister. So I take responsibility for all the leases, including those that are going around there that are fraudulent. Secondly, we also do the title deed or the certificates of title. That's done by my registrars. So to that extent, then, our work is different because the National Land Commission's main mandate is to manage public land, administration and management of public land. And the amendments that we were proposing were speaking to the valuation. I still think that I will be able to come and persuade Parliament that valuation of government projects land, compulsory acquisition should be, the valuation should be done by the owners of the project, by the government, because we are the, you see, the National Commission is an independent organ of this country. And therefore, if it is the government that is doing its projects, there is nothing wrong in them doing the evaluations between the buyer and the government. And therefore, I think those are some of the amendments we were proposing. That does not take any power of the commission given under the Constitution. I think you could talk about maybe the law, but anything that is not working for the government within the law then requires some changes. You are aware that we have had a big challenge as a government by overstating and overvaluing you may not be able to confirm in terms of the valuations, the integrity and the authority of that valuation. The chief government valuer is under my ministry, and therefore that is something we've been in the leases are, what they do is to provide allotment, is to allow allotment and give no objection for allotments to be issued by the county governments, and therefore ensuring that public land is granted to only those who deserve to be granted the public land. And we have no dispute in respect of allotments of land between ourselves and the national government. So in terms of going to how many places can I go? If I can go to 5 or 10 and provide the statement that is needed to stamp authority of the government in terms of tearing the cartels that I'm here, and I will not allow, and I can tell you, Honorable Speaker, it has worked to some extent. But I said what I need is the law to be explicit, to be clear,